Rock Chat with Trace.
In this podcast I'm talking to Matt and James from the modern hard rock band Mason Hill. Hello, and thank you for coming on the show.
Hello.
Can you introduce yourselves?
And you go, James?
James, guitar player, Mason Hill.
I'm Matt. I write all the songs and... No, I'm kidding, I'm the bass player. I'm just a lonely little bass player in the back.
What are the bands that unite you?
We're quite a mixed bag, I think.
Yeah.
Sort of the rhythm section's much more into their, old school Metallica and their things along that line. But James and Scott, yous are more these are the soft boys, I think.
No, not soft. Like, I like a lot of different stuff. I go from metal to rock to pop, and I don't know. I mean, to be honest, for me, is if it's good, it's good, and that's it. But in terms of actual bands, I probably the same bands as everyone, to be honest, all the big ones, all the big classics, and the new bands too, like Bring Me the Horizon I really quite like at the minute, but then I equally like Guns N' Roses and all that same stuff. So everyone, just about everyone.
James, what was it like winning the Scottish section of the European Battle of the Bands Surface Festival competition?
Yeah, that was great. That was back when me and Scott first started to gig. When we were in high school, that's when we first really started gigging. So to get involved with that, we only did it just so that we could have gigs to go to, really. And we were guaranteed an audience because of everybody else's fan base that would be there. So when we got that far, let alone win it, we were just like, what? We were just blown away. We couldn't believe it. So I remember standing there in Glasgow, is actually where we won it, with Scott. And we just kind of looked at each other and hugged, I think. One of the few times we've hugged. We just had a big hug and we were just really over the moon and couldn't believe we'd got that far. So yeah, that was a good moment there to look where we've came to now. So going from there to where we are now is pretty cool.
Against the Wall was the first single from the album. How did the concept of the masks come about?
Matthew?
The masks kind of, they come from obviously the album cover, which has multiple connotations. Take from the album cover what you will, but the masks were really just meant to sort of be like the faceless industry, you know. That's so we had the idea of having, these executives sort of pulling the strings and telling you what to do. Hopefully that comes across in the music video. It's a bit of a mad one, but we really enjoyed filming it. We've had quite a few people asking if we're selling those masks, but I don't think they realise how little you can see through them. They're completely blinding, those masks. Might need to add them to the merch desk, I think. But yeah, they were really just meant to be, faceless executives telling you what to do, and hopefully rebelling against it and doing your own thing. Very, very artsy-fartsy and rebellious.
How do you approach the songwriting process?
Well, so far anyway, it's been guitar riffs followed by a full draft of a song that I'll send over through to Scott, and then Scott will try some ideas if I've not came up with any myself. Sometimes it's hard not to come up with little melodies. I mean, we all go in the shower and hum a tune or whatever. So guitar riff, make a draft base of a song, send it through to Scott, see what he does, and then take it to the band, get in a rehearsal with the band, morph it into tricks and crannies and whatever else. And then we'll probably change it 18,000 times after we've written it, because we're perfectionists and like to go back and improve things. So I'm starting to change my answer every time, because like the songwriting process used to be really simple, and now it's became really complicated to the point that someone needs to tell us to stop.
I think that was it. Actually, we did need someone from outside to tell that this album would still be getting rewritten.
Yeah.
Right now, if someone hadn't said, right, you've cooked it enough, take it out,
Yeah, that's the problem. When you make an idea, you can keep adding to it, and the person that's made it or people that have made it will always think, oh, we've improved it, this is a better idea, or let's do this or do that. But sometimes it's hard to know when to stop. But yeah, pretty much as we say, it's usually we're a guitar-based band, guitar-driven band, so typically starts with a guitar and then it ends usually with vocals. But yeah, guitar riff, send them over to Scott, see what vocals he comes up with, and work on that together, then practice the hell out of it with the band, and it changes from there. Ideas will get thrown in, and yeah, it's a pretty good process.
What can fans expect from your debut album, Against the Wall?
If you were to search us right now, well, before we released Against the Wall single, you would see our EP. And if you listen to the EP, it's very much heavily, you know, there's 4 songs there that were done when me and Scott were teenagers, pretty much. So where we've came to now to then, it's very classic rock then, and it's kind of morphed a bit to be a bit more modern. There's still aspects there that people know us by, but there's definitely a modern twist to it now. So it goes anywhere between like a modern heavy rock edge that's got quite a lot of heavy beats in there and heavy riffs, but there's always melody. I think that's probably the best thing I could say about this band and this album. There's tons of melody, so no matter what you're into, if it's softer songs or heavy songs, we've got the melody there always. But heavy rock, really, Matt, wouldn't you say? It's still heavy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's actually, we've been saying it for a while, I think that there's going to be, you know, pockets of people that will maybe be a bit surprised with what they're going to get with the album, because, you know, some people, they may not have caught us live over the past couple of years as these songs sort of developed, and I think they got heavier at certain points, and, you know, they have changed a lot. So some people might still be expecting the EP version of us, but it's definitely, I think it's got more weighty, heavier, but it's still, as James said, got that you know, that melody that's really at the heart of it and drives it. But yeah, I'm expecting a few hopefully happier raised eyebrows over it, but some people are maybe going to be a little sort of shocked at some of the changes in it. But it's still Mason Hill at heart. It's still got that noticeable James Bird riff in there.
When will the album be released?
It's March 2021. Obviously, as you may know, we did a Kickstarter to help us fund this album, and that went amazingly. So that was set to be this year, but with the pandemic and everything that's going on, it delayed so many different things for us. So with management helping us to release it and whatnot, it got pushed back, and so currently it's March 2021. So I mean, I don't think there's any going back from it now. It's all set in motion. We've got everything ready for distribution. The artwork's there, the printing's there, the mastering's all done. So regardless of what happens now, it pretty much is set solid for March 2021. When was it exactly, Matthew? Is it the 5th? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, that's right.
March 2021. So long overdue. Finally come.
Long overdue. Yeah, it's exciting, but yeah, we hope to have out this year. As we've said, every year for about maybe 2 or 3 now, but it's pandemic's kind of moved it along. We can't tour it, so we're reluctant to release it and then, you know, not be able to tour it properly. We've got backup plans though for March if you know, touring's still off the cards, which who knows, it could be, it might not be. We're optimistic, but cautiously optimistic. So we've got our plan Bs basically for how we're going to try and, you know, at least get out to the fans in some way if we can't properly tour it. But yeah, it's full steam ahead for March. Lots of singles to come, lots of wee surprises here and there still on the way.
How has it been not being able to tour?
Rubbish. in one word. It's terrible.
Yeah.
We miss it big time.
Deal, like especially right now for us, a band that's just starting to try and get on the sort of train again and have new content to release. Like, it's great to be able to go to your own gig or supporting another band or a tour or a festival or whatever it may be. Do the gig, and then, you know, you generate new audiences from that, new fans and friends. Ideally, you do gigs, you come away from the gig, people look you up after that, and they've got things to see. So for us, releasing new stuff at the minute and not being able to do gigs with that, it's kind of it's a real sort of backstep a little bit, but nonetheless, we're still striving forward and releasing new songs and videos, as you'll see in the next few weeks and the months to come. But in terms of just not being able to gig, it kind of just pauses everything, really. Can't do anything.
What bands would you most like to tour with?
I think we usually float the same sort of few bands. You know, your Shinedown, your Alter Bridge, I think we go sort of hand in hand with them really well. Bring Me the Horizon would be amazing, just because they're sort of at the cutting edge right now, I think, in terms of the British rock scene anyway. They've just, every single they've released recently has just been, you know, absolutely killer. So yeah, but I think in terms of, you know, matching what this album sounds like, I'd tour with someone like Shinedown or Alter Bridge would be, you know, perfect. The crossovers there, you know what I mean? It's there for everyone to see.
One for maybe just, you know, unrealistic, but the Golden Goose would, you know, AC/DC would be amazing, just for the the stadiums and the audience, like everyone's there ready for a good time. So Rammstein, they'd be cool too, just from the stage that they set up. It would be amazing to be able to get on like that kind of stage setup and just have that kind of aesthetics and stuff, and like Iron Maiden even as well. Just everything they set up in front of the stage would be cool to witness from our perspective. I think flames going off and everything.
Yeah, be good to have the budget to do that ourselves one day, maybe. Who knows?
Just party crackers.
Yeah, we've done it once. Had one bit of pyro since forming the band, and it was, you know, it was amazing for us. But it was a headline show in Glasgow that we done, and we were adamant we had to get a bit of pyro in the garage. And it was so fun to have. But yeah, it was our one moment in the spotlight with the pyro stuff. It's not happened again yet.
No, a bit messy as well.
It was, yeah. Had to pay for the cleanup and stuff, but it was worth every penny.
Any pre-show rituals?
Well, I said this recently. Like, typically we'll have a beer before we go. Like, I mean, we've not done many tours, but the ones we have had, we tried not to drink on every single gig. But if we're just doing like odd gigs, or if it's 2 gigs or something, we'll always have like a beer before we go on. At least me, Matthew, and Mark, the other guitar player, Mark, we'll all have a beer each. As for Scott and Craig, I don't know. Scott goes away and warms his voice up. Craig's
meditate,
hitting things with his sticks. The drummer, he goes away to hit things,
as drummers do.
Yeah, I think we
do have a sort of secret backstage ritual, James, though, where some ritualistic chanting comes out usually. We don't ever mean it.
Yeah.
No one's ever caught us doing this, so I won't go into it too much, but there's some strange off-the-cuff ritualistic chanting that comes in. Always different every show, but it's becoming constant, so I'd say that's unfortunately become part of our pre-show ritual. We've
not done it in a while because obviously we've not gigged, but yeah, I think that happens when we get nervous. When we're nervous for a gig, we're kind of excited, you know, and we all kind of act a bit weird, like you've got adrenaline going and you're pumped and you're ready, so we do weird things, and one of them is we start singing random words together.
We're now going to do a quick fire round. What's your favourite film?
Alien.
Lord of the Rings.
What's your favourite concert you've ever been to?
Metallica.
John Mayer for me. Sorry for anyone who doesn't like him, but John Mayer.
What festival would you like to headline the most?
Download.
Yeah, I'd probably say Download because it's like a big deal for the UK. So.
Who's the most organised in the group?
James.
I would have said me.
Who's the joker?
Mark. Yeah, Mark.
Who's the most creative?
Greg's creative with his words. James musically.
Thank you. Matthew with... I would say, actually, Matthew, I would say you with words. You're creative with words. You seem to be the one that always attracts people to us for whatever reason, good and bad.
Strange people come to me.
Yes.
And a couple of more questions. What are your future plans?
Well, get the album out, so long as the world doesn't end. So that's the only thing that's going to stop it, actually. I mean, hopefully this doesn't become my famous last words, but the world ending should be the only thing that stops it coming out in March now. And we're teetering on that at the moment. But yeah, get the album out and hopefully get out on the road if they let us. That's really the only aim for any bands right now, I guess, is to get back out on the road. But we've at least got that main target, March, get the album out. And if it's not on the road, it's going to be some kind of, you know, special live streams or whatever a band can do right now. We're all in the same boat, unfortunately. But yeah, just buzzing to get the album out, basically.
Yeah, keep going, really. That's pretty much all for us at the minute. Just release new music, release new videos, ultimately release the album, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, there are gigs available at the end of all of that with everything that's going on. So,
anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, check out the new music video if anyone hasn't. Against the Wall, it's up on YouTube now. We've got a wee making of as well, a little bit of fun behind the scenes stuff. And you can keep your eyes out for another little single maybe in the next month or so. I don't know if I'm saying too much there, but
no, it's fine. New music.
I've said it now. New music coming your way soon.
Very soon.
Against the Wall is released on the 5th of March, and I'd like to thank Mason Hill for joining me on Rock Chat with Trace.